There are three types of people who love Mac Jones: quarterbacks who couldn't create, quarterback coaches, and offensive coordinators and fans who are wishing for a game that has passed them by. This is because Mac either plays like them, or has learned everything that they can teach them, or brings the on-script efficiency that they believe will lead them to the promised land. And affectionately, we call those people dinosaurs. And this goes back to something we've been talking about since 2015. Traditionalist versus creators. And we're not the only one to use verbiage like this. Waldman says cooks and chefs because he's smarter than me and he uses short words. Orlovsky recently talked about quarterbacks who you can win with and quarterbacks who make you win. And the fact that this isn't common knowledge by now, and the fact that we're talking about Mac Jones as a top 5 pick, is terrifying. And I want to like Mac Jones. There's a lot to like about Mac Jones. But this truly is a test of who Shanahan is. Is he ruled by his dinosaur soul or his cutting edge mind? Because today's NFL is broken into two halves. The portion of the game that's on script and the portion of the game that is sheer chaos. Both sides exist. And both sides have a level of value. But what you see far too often with dinosaurs is that they overvalue on script and they ignore what you can do in times of chaos. Now, I want to take a brief moment to thank you all. In the last month, our faction has doubled in size. So thank you for your time and attention. Thank you for going below, hitting subscribe, and ringing the bell. When people try and sell you on Mac Jones, they try and talk about the best case scenario being Brady. That's nonsense. And that is obvious right off the bat in the first trait when you look at his arm talent. And this isn't a surprise because for years people have told you that Brady is work ethic and between the ears. But what they don't value enough is that Brady's short and intermediate passing game is elite. The arm talent in the short and intermediate is elite. His mechanics are perfect, and when the ball isn't wet and he has his wrist flick on, he throws ropes inside of 20 yards. And when you look at Mac Jones, that is not what you see. With Mac Jones, he has a standard arm. This is good enough in the NFL, a standard arm on his short and intermediate. Of the top 5 quarterbacks in this draft, it is decidedly the weakest in the short and intermediate passing game. When Mac Jones is throwing from the far hash to the boundary, you see twice the gravity on that ball. It is bending. And while that's good enough, that's also a limiting factor. That is something that is going to drag down efficiency right off the jump. And when you look at his deep ball, it grades worse than Danny Dimes. Danny Dimes, a nice, majestic, high-arcing, well-placed deep ball. Mac Jones, even with high-end anticipation, is underthrowing wide receivers on most every deep ball. You can see on all of his throws how the ball dies and sinks in the last 10 yards. Again, he, of the 5 quarterbacks at the top, has the worst deep ball. But then we look over at the off-platform mechanics and they don't exist. Mac Jones can move a little bit. He will slide in the pocket, he will shuffle his feet, he will jog out to the right, jog out to the left. But much like Danny Dimes, you see that he has to settle his feet almost completely to be able to throw the ball with any velocity and any accuracy. The off-platform throws that he makes successfully are all very rudimentary. And the reason that that is not good is because slowing down allows pursuit to catch you. This wastes time, this wastes space. And that brings us back to the dinosaur versus creator debate. If I imagine that my offense runs on script 100% of the time, I'm lying to myself. At best, with the best offensive coordinators, you're seeing 70% of the time on script, 30% of the time off script, where the quarterback has to do something to make the play work. And as the games get tougher, as you move deeper into the playoffs, that 30% starts to climb. So if I can succeed on script efficiently, but I can't off script, your efficiency numbers start to dwindle. So right there, on arm talent, we rule out Tom Brady. So let's think of a best case scenario for Mac Jones. And it's two very well-respected names, Phillip Rivers and Drew Brees. Both of those quarterbacks are mental plus, functional plus, and limited on the arm talent. Drew Brees and Phillip Rivers did not hit 65% completion percentage in their career until they had started their third season. And what I mean by that is started their third season. Phillip Rivers didn't play his first 2 years. His first year where he started, his second year where he started, around 60% completion rate, 65 in the third year. He was 27 years old. Drew Brees started in his year 2, his year 3, but didn't hit that 65 until his year 4 in the league. And we don't have time to wait anymore. Rookies are coming onto the field right away. But when you lean on your mental traits and your arm can't salvage you and your mobility can't salvage you, can't save you in those moments of chaos, you don't see efficiency until year 3. And then you have to look at the shelf life. Because every single athlete declines after the age of 30. And quarterbacks are playing longer than ever. But they still decline in their physical traits after 30. Even the great Drew Brees and Phillip Rivers have a post-30 playoff record of 7-10. 0 Super Bowls. And that makes you wonder about shelf life. Because if Mac Jones is drafted and starts day 1, he's 25 years old when he hits season 3 as a starter. He's got 5-6 years to make the most of what he has before the physical traits start to decline even further. And when you set the physical traits bar that low, you have to do a lot of mental lifting to prolong your success. On the functional traits, Mac Jones grades very well. He is extremely well taught. His pocket mobility, his ability to feel pressure, move in the pocket, slide in the pocket is very good. However, when he gets sped up, that footwork tends to break down a little bit, and you'll see the steps get wider and more spaced out, which hurts him because on that widened platform, he cannot throw the ball with the same velocity or accuracy. He has to be set to throw his best ball. And mechanically, everything is fairly sharp. He has a very quick twitch release. The ball does come out a little bit low, though, and with defensive linemen who mush rush and pick their spot to try and jump and knock one down, you are going to see batted balls as something that defenses can have success with. And on the mental traits, Mac Jones grades phenomenally. He grades great. On tempo, on vision, on anticipation. He is the best in class. He is the best quarterback in the class on those 3 areas. But the problem with mental traits is that it is very difficult to see if they are elite, if the quarterback hasn't already been tasked with responsibility in college. And Mac Jones in the Alabama offense hasn't been. Peyton Manning showed it. Andrew Luck showed it. Mac Jones has not shown it. Without a shadow of a doubt, he hasn't shown it as much as Burrow did at LSU the year before. And if I'm being completely honest, when you look at Mac Jones' tape, there are a number of plays where he gets fooled. He is not seeing through every single defense he faces. And that's something that he's going to need to do on the next level to be in that savant class. The hardest thing to evaluate in all of quarterback evaluation is the difference between high-ranking mental traits and savant. Knowing who is the savant. So while I feel Mac Jones will be a quality quarterback in this league for years, being a cold-blooded killer is a totally different thing. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if he's a regular season champion and then a playoff loser. Look around the league. Are we pretending that Teddy Bridgewater, Ryan Fitzpatrick are not brilliant quarterbacks? Do we think Jimmy Garoppolo isn't smart? Because the Saints have shown us you can win games with Teddy Bridgewater, and the Panthers don't even want him. You can win games with Gardner Minshew, and he'll cost you a fourth, not a top 4 pick. I'm comfortable with the fact that he will be overdrafted. If he slides down the board to Philadelphia and a Sirianni offense at 12, that looks good. Phillip Rivers looked good in it last year. If he slides down the board to 15 to New England, and they want to take that as their next quarterback, perfectly understanding. But at 3, with the options available, that is a humongous gamble. Taking a quarterback there who is a limitations in the physical game, who is a liability off platform, there is no safety net. It's Savant or it's bust. Because Mac Jones, if he is not a Savant, will be that level 3-4 Ryan Fitzpatrick style quarterback. And nobody wants Ryan Fitzpatrick in the top 3. And even if he is on that level, enjoy waiting until 2023. And then understand that you have a 5 to 6 year shelf life before those physical traits start to diminish even further. And after those traits start to diminish, he can have a long, productive career that ends in the wild card round, the divisional round, or the AFC NFC championship round year after year after year after year. The point of this is to win a Super Bowl. It's not to come in 4th. So when the clock hits San Francisco, what's it going to be? The cutting edge mind or the dinosaur soul? Shanahan, this is your second test. Mahomes was the first. You failed. This is the second. And no pressure. Your entire coaching legacy only rests on this. So here's to Mac Jones sliding down the board a bit, falling to a realistic value in the draft, and having a good career. I don't expect a bust, but if he's not a Savant, you aren't going to be happy. I love you guys. We need you. Stay strong. And I'll see you on the other side.